Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's final video. Going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days for today's final video. So day 10 will take us to the 22nd of September, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the GFS and ECM ensembles, maybe on track a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at CFSV2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. Gets us into the first half of October, and I should get to that for you in a moment. Just say about the first video to say was our 6am UK weather forecast. I've also released the European outlook as well. Please like, share and subscribe on all of today's videos and content. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. For Gaz Weatherbees, thank you so much everyone. Need to put on around 70 subscribers, less than 70, about 68 I think now, to get ourselves to 18.8k. So if you could give us a sub, tell friends and family to subscribe, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Right, we're going to start in the subtropical Atlantic. We've got a few interest areas. So we have got, let's deal with Francine first of all. So Francine was a Category 1 hurricane yesterday. Now tropical depression, Francine, moving into the southern part of America. Still giving maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 996 millibars. Tropical storm Francine is predicted to go post-tropical imminently. So currently somewhere around Mississippi, and it will be moving northwards into the state of Arkansas by the end of the week and going post-tropical then. Still in copious amounts of rain, it has to be said, and pretty strong winds as well, but then that will be the end of Francine. 2 yellow X's, disturbance 2, both, that one has a 20% chance, both at 2 days and 7 days of cyclone formation, and disturbance 1 with a 0% chance of cyclone formation. Don't have to worry about that one. Then we got Tropical Depression 7, which is giving maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 1,007 millibars. Clicking on 7, we can see this is predicted to become a tropical storm. Quite slow moving tropical storm, just gradually sort of moving its way in that direction through the end of the weekend into the beginning of next week. Whether by Tuesday that is the end of that tropical storm, or whether it will still be in business as a tropical storm and could potentially power up, you know, I'm not sure. So we'll just keep an eye on that, and obviously we'll be keeping you updated on what that one is doing. Our next tropical storm should be named quite shortly, maybe later today. Right, going back to home, the central temperature is really coming down quickly. We're now sitting at 15.9, so we took off half a degree from the central temperature yesterday, but it's still 2.3 degrees above average. It's provisional to the 11th of September. I'm starting to wonder whether that might actually tumble into the 14s by the weekend. I've been thinking like low to mid 15s by the weekend, but I don't know, that might tumble into like the very high 14s by the weekend. It will be interesting to see what happens with the CET over the coming few days. But I say half a degree was taken off yesterday, a big drop in central temperature from 16.4, I think it was, now to 15.9. These with GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. We're at Cardiff today. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Cardiff. We're starting off below average with the upper air temperatures at the moment, but they are going to be lifting up as we go through the weekend into the start of next week. So through next week, you can see the upper air temperature starting to become a little bit warmer. Maybe not getting back though to the high temperatures that we had earlier on in the month, and there could be a cooling trend opening up in the last week of September as well. That's a very long way off, but we do see, you know, from the ensemble mean, which is the white line, that's dipping again slightly under the red line, not going down to the very cold level we're at the moment. But yeah, it looks like it's starting chilly, warm things up, and then maybe cool things down again through the last week of the month. Precipitation-wise, relatively dry over the next week to 10 days. And as it turns colder maybe in the last week of September, it might also turn more unsettled as well. So a drop in the last week of September with temperature and more unsettled. But of course, that's a long way off. It's very extended range, and therefore It's unreliable within the GFS and its ensembles. Temperature anomaly is from the 12th 20th of September, about average, not a particularly big deviation. Precipitation anomalies from the 12th 20th of September coming out drier than normal. Latest weather map from earthnullschool.net shows we've got low pressure in the North Sea, and we're pulling down again today a cold northwesterly or northerly flow if we drag the map down. As we've seen over the past several days, we can see that the air at the moment is originating from up here, true Arctic sourced air, therefore, albeit modified a lot by a long sea trek and by the time of the year, but a proper true Arctic sourced air is plunging down across West Europe and has been for the past couple of days. Not much longer to go though now before we lose those northerly winds. So out in the Atlantic, we've got these milder southwesterlies, and they will eventually start moving in. We'll lose that northerly wind when we get through to the weekend. Tomorrow actually going to be a little bit less cold, but it will be very, very chilly tonight. But it will be Saturday that we start to pick up those less cold or milder southwesterlies. And that takes us very nicely through to some chart data. Just how the latest UK Met Euro run is looking for midnight on Sunday. So by then, high pressure is sitting in the south, low pressure way to north, and we're bringing up those southwest winds. So temperatures will start to lift up through the course of the weekend. Not going to get really warm, but we're certainly not as cold as it is at the moment anyway. And through next week, high pressure strengthening through the north and the west of Europe. So that's a setup. By this time next week, gets us to midnight on Thursday, 19th September. High pressure is over, and to the northeast country, winds are coming in from the east, so a lot of dry and warm weather with that. Probably seeing temperatures by day, so 21, 22, by night, 9, 10, something like that. So very pleasant spell of weather setting up there with the UK there. Icon, again, showing that high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north scenario for the weekend. Into next week, high pressure strengthening across the north and the west of Europe. That's the scenario by midday next Thursday. Again, high pressure through southern Scandinavia. Winds are coming in from the east. They're bringing a lot of warm and dry weather in from the east. Although, quite a strong easterly down the south. That could bring some cloud, maybe a few showers in the far south and southeast. But most places will be dry. Misty mornings, perhaps coolish mornings, and warm sunny afternoons. KMA, all much of a muchness this weekend and into next week. High pressure again is strengthening over and to the east of the country. Loads of dry, fine weather through next week and into the following weekend. Just a bit of a hint though, when we get to the very end of the KMA run, that the heights are beginning to pull up towards Greenland. So a little bit of a hint of retrogression. No, I won't do that. I did have that on live stream last night. No, but a bit of a hint of the high pressure starting to try going to retrograde there, maybe by the 24th of September, as far as we get to with the KMA. And, just a slight hint of a bit of retrogression and something perhaps colder and more unsettled for the last week of September. That's a very long way off, and it is only a hint there. Well, the GFS midnight run, again, all much this will be end of the weekend and into next week. High pressure strengthening through the north and the west of Europe. By the middle of next week, we've got a sort of classic Scandinavian high, really, of east reaching into Scotland, and an easterly wind, a long fetch easterly wind, bringing the air in from the far east of Europe, and pretty warm air coming in with that as well. Low pressure is developing to the south though, so this is kind of the pattern we had earlier on in the month, which brings the driest, warmest weather to the north and the northwest, and southern areas would be at risk of seeing some wet weather actually coming up from the south at times. And there is a definite hint in the GFS midnight run, more than a hint, it's actually showing it, of retrogression, and the high pressure becoming a blocking feature around Greenland as we head toward day 10. In fact, that is chart for day 10, 22nd of September. So we've got a blocking area of high pressure. The high pressure's gone into retrograde, and formed a block over Greenland and Iceland. And low pressure is coming up from the south there. So look at this. By the time we get just beyond day 10 to day 11, 23rd of September, we're going into what looks like a really quite cold pattern with a large block around Greenland. Low pressure is across the north of Europe, and winds are coming in from a cold northeasterly direction. If that came off, I think we might be looking at a 13 Celsius CET September. We haven't had one of those for quite a while, I don't think. No, cold northerly winds setting up there into the last week of September, and those are bringing low pressure off the Atlantic, so turning cold and wet with the GFS midnight run through the last week of September. All at very extended range, probably won't verify, but certainly quite interesting. Thinking about high pressure retrogressing from northern Europe to Greenland. The GFS 6 there by comparison, once more with that high pressure strengthening through Western Europe through the early part of next week, becomes a Scandinavian high, brings the wind around to the east through the middle part of next week. Then again, notice that the heights are pulling from Scandinavia towards Iceland by the end of next week. So a block beginning to set up around Iceland and Greenland. High pressure again retrogressing from east to west. So just to explain that very quickly, zonal, which is our typical flow in the northern hemisphere, is west to east, and so that's normally you will get weather driving from the Atlantic into northern Europe, and that's particularly like low pressure around Iceland and whatnot, a very zonal flow west to east. Retrogression is when the high pressure, it can be low pressure, but normally it's high pressure, goes against the zonal flow and it goes from east to west. And we always get quite excited, or I do, get quite excited when see retrogression, because it's a sign that the atmosphere, it's just doing something a little bit different and performing a little bit unusually. And it is quite unusual to see retrogression in any month, but September is particularly unusual to see retrogression. Might not come off though. We're still, a week or so away. Anyway, by the time we get through the day 10 with GFS 6 said, high pressure around Greenland, low pressure is coming up from the south. So again, that's turning England, Wales wetter. Scotland, Ireland probably relatively dry still. And then beyond that, into the extended range of GFS 6, then we don't get back northerly, but it does turn more unsettled as we come into the last days of September. So eventually we're looking properly autumnal there, cool and wet by 28th of September, which is far as we get to with the GFS today. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe. Thanks so much everyone for doing that. Drop a comment, let's know what you think about this and all of our videos and content. Don't forget to tell your friends about Gals Weatherlies. Get them to subscribe too. Thanks so much for doing that. 70 subscribers, less than 70 subscribers will get us to 18.8k. So please give us a sub, tell friends and family to subscribe, and thank you so much for doing that. Right, GM again strengthening high pressure through the west of Europe and the north of Europe through the early part of next week. High pressure bringing lots of dry and fine and pretty warm weather as well through the course of next week. There's a bit of a hint to try to retrogress the high pressure out to Greenland and Iceland, but not really anywhere near as much as the GFS is doing. And so the high pressure just stays sort of dominant really up to day 10 across the west of Europe. I'd say possibly just a little bit of a hint by day 10 that high pressure is trying to retrogress. Some sort of northerly, looks like coming into the far north of Scandinavia, but nowhere near to the extent that the GFS is doing it. So mostly dry and pretty warm with the gem, right way up to day 10 there. And then the ECM rounds it all off with high pressure again, dominating through the north and the west of Europe. In fact, most parts of Europe actually dominated by high pressure for the middle part of next week. And then high pressure stays in control into the second half of next week. Again, possibly by day 9, 10, just a bit of a hint that the high pressure is trying to retrogress and go up to Greenland. Not going as far with that as the GFS in particular is. There is the remains of a tropical storm and or hurricane as well with the ECM that's in play just here on the 20th of September and by 22nd just here, and that's possibly preventing a retrogression of the anticyclone up to that point. But obviously, what happens with that storm, where that goes and how models handle that will be an important player in terms of this developing scenario of possible retrogression of high pressure into the last week of September. Quite interesting this, isn't it? Right, well, let's have a look at the precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Meteo.com. So a few showers around today, but overnight going to dry out and will be very cold tonight, actually. Cover up your delicates if you want to keep them going for a few more weeks, because there will be like an air frost, I think, tonight for Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England. Ground frost right way down to Wales, Midlands, maybe some southern counties. So an unusually cold night for the time of the year. After that, well, we'll pick up that southwest wind, so temperatures will recover into the weekend. Showery rain in the northwest, gradually working its way southeastwards. But the emphasis is on a lot of dry weather, really, as we're going through next week. That high pressure is dominating and in control. These are the options on the table in the ECM Ensemble today for day 10. Gets us 22nd of September from the Icelandic Meteors. 24 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure sitting to the north and possibly towards Greenland. So it might be retrogressing the high pressure a little bit there with some of those options. Winds in from the east, so relatively warm, but could be a bit showery down in the south. I've got 15 including control and the operational room. High pressure more or less over top of the country. And then we've got 12 with high pressure, perhaps a bit more towards the northwest. Around that, we might be pulling in the wind from the east and northeast a little bit more. So, you know, the high pressure, where it is at day 10, the position is critical factor as to whether it's still relatively warm. I think it probably will be. But there is the chance we might start to retrogress high pressure out to Greenland. I mean, in 2 weeks' time, this gets us to the 27th of September. So by then, 19 members of the ECM ensembles have successfully retrogressed the high pressure to Greenland and Iceland. Low pressure bed, a trough of low, is plunging in through the north and west Europe, and that brings down a northerly wind. So those 19 are going in the same direction as the GFS, particularly the GFS midnight run, but possibly taking a little bit longer to get there. 17 with high pressure more towards west and northwest UK and Ireland, mostly dry, but could be a bit chilly with winds in from the northwest. Then 15 keeping the high pressure more or less right over top of the country. So whether we send the high pressure into retrograde and turn it cold and more unsettled into the last week of September is, you know, what we're going to be probably having to focus on over the next few days with the updates. CFSB2 finally reached a 500 millibar height and noise, bring down to week period. So first week period take us from the 12th to the 18th of September. The next week has high pressure just down to the southwest, low pressure way to the northwest. A lot of dry weather with that and becoming milder as well as winds pull back round to the southwest. Week 2. It's the 19th, 25th of September. High pressure remains over top of the country, but ridging up towards Greenland. So should be a lot of dry weather, but not that far away from turning things cooler or colder with a northerly. Not that far away from that at all. Week 3 will be the 26th of September, 2nd of October. So high pressure has retrogressed to Greenland then, and a trough is in over Scandinavia. That's trying to pull down a cold northern wind. However, CFS is also, as it's CFS, raising the heights to the south and trying to keep the warm weather going as well. So, a bit of a battle going on there. And then week 4 looks like that. It's the 3rd to the 9th of October. High pressure, well, some sort of ridge towards Iceland, and low pressure is in the Atlantic. So, a bit of a complicated pattern, but probably turning more unsettled anyway into the first week of October. But as it's 4 weeks away, it's not really worth worrying about. Okay, we're done. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Please show everyone for doing that. Why not drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos and content. And don't forget to tell your friends about it as well. Get them to subscribe too. And thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. I'll just tell you what's happening on my channel tomorrow. We're going to have a 6 a.m. UK weather forecast. Jeremy Friday, 10 to 14 day. And if you're a channel member, you'll have September's channel member live stream coming up tomorrow as well. So that will be at 7 p.m. I should see channel members there. You enjoy the rest of your Thursday, though. And for this one, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.